What's going on, people? Today we're going to talk about something that might be a little controversial, but when it comes to Coach Prime, that's nothing new. Since the start, a lot of people have called into question his method of recruiting and roster management. So let's dig into some of these recruitment moves that Coach Prime has made in 2023 and going into 2024 that are rooted in methods that he used in Jackson State that made him so successful. And to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to focus on some key transfers and recruits that he made in year one, as well as some for 2024, and see if a pattern emerges and what that pattern is indicating. But before we get into the players, there's something I want to cover that people miss a lot, and that's the anatomy of a college football team. And it pretty much boils down to this. You have proven players and prospects on every team. That's your makeup. And within those categories, under the proven players, you have grads and undergrads. That's where you get your veterans from. That's where you get your plug-and-play players, your returning players, as well as transfers. Your prospects are your talented players and your elite blue chippers coming out of high school. Those are those who are recruited out of high school. Occasionally, you can find a true freshman who can come in and contribute, but most need development. You won't find a college football team out there that's made up of all true freshmen. In fact, what you'll find is that most teams are made up of 80 to 90% of veterans who have been on the proven grounds. Which leads me to the first Coach Prime example of recruiting that he picked up in 2023. And that would be Xavier Weaver, who was a proven leading receiver from South Florida. And he went on to produce pretty good for the Colorado Buffs. He was on the watch list for the Biletnikoff Award for one of the top receivers in college football. And he did his thing out there and should have a good chance at going pro. Coach Prime also got Jimmy Horn, who was a leading receiver at South Florida with Xavier Weaver. And he was a veteran who came in with experience through the transfer portal. And he was productive also for Colorado. And we look to see him being productive in 2024 as well. In the 2023 wide receiver room alone, Coach Prime had at least a dozen freshmen. But one freshman stood out. He was a standout, and that was Omarion Miller. And like I said, occasionally you get a true freshman that comes in that can make an impact. And Omarion Miller, he flashed during the USC game and showed his potential as a prospect in 2023, and we look to see what he can do in 2024 as he continues to develop, as well as some of the freshman prospects returning. In 2024, Coach Prime didn't veer far from his strategy. Once again, you see him picking up veteran receivers such as Will Shepard coming from Vanderbilt, one of the leading receivers there who was productive. And with his experience, we look for him to be productive at CU. Next, you have baby T.O. Cordell Russell coming from TCU. And he's a redshirt freshman. He played a couple of games at TCU and then redshirted. But one that I don't want to let fly under the radar, who's more proven, is Shimon Mateer. 6'5", 248-pound tight end who was very productive at Cincinnati. So you have a veteran coming in to fill an immediate need at tight end. And when it came to high school prospects this year, Coach Prime was super selective, and he specifically targeted elite prospects. One in particular is a wide receiver, Draylon Miller. Now, earlier I was talking about the fact that every so often you can get true freshmen who could possibly come in and make an impact right away. And Draylon Miller, if we look at his film, you'll see why I think he may be one of those type of players. Let's look at some of this film. And one of the things that's going to stick out right away is his blazing speed. Now, if you watch this play right here, you'll see also how he is super elusive, meaning that in the open field, he's a threat. He's able to make multiple people miss, and he's dangerous on the outside. Let's watch this route right here. And he just blows past the coverage. You see, his speed, his breakaway speed is something that I want you to see, as well as him being a vertical threat. One of the things that I noticed and that you'll notice is how no matter if people have an angle on him, he still is able to outrun people who have a good angle on him. And that's a key indicator of someone who has tremendous speed. He's also a dual threat as far as being on special teams. Watch him right here break this one and take it to the house. And once again, you see people have an angle on him, and it doesn't even matter. Yeah, this guy is definitely going to be one to watch out for that could possibly come in and be a game changer as a true freshman. So, Coach Prime, you see him get the high ball there. You see, Coach Prime is looking for players that fit, and he's also looking for specific things this particular season. So as Draylon takes this to the house, let's discuss whether or not Coach Prime has a method to the madness. And if we look at his recruiting patterns thus far, we'll see that he has been true to his form that he had in Jackson State, where he had the 40-40-20 rule, which basically equates to having 80% proven players and then 20% high school prospects. With the landscape of college football having changed so much with the transfer portal, in year one, Coach Prime was able to overhaul his roster from that 11-1 team and put together a team that had a basis for what he's going into 2024 to do, which is his goal is to win and to win fast. He's not trying to do a slow rebuild. So far, he's taken the steps to do just that. It looks as though Coach Prime has positioned himself quite well going into the 2024 season, having picked up offensive linemen that were starting in other programs, as well as defensive linemen that were starting in other programs to address a major need that they had, where teams were only barely beating them. 6 games they lost by a margin of 7 or less. And instead of loading up on freshmen this year who will possibly have to sit for a year or two for development, Coach Prime went after game changers like the number 1 offensive lineman, Jordan Seat, as well as one of the top athletes in his class, Cam Michael, and wide receiver Draylon Miller. All of these guys could possibly come in and impact a program right away. He was able to go quality over quantity this year. And let's not forget that with that overhaul roster in his first year, he has some dogs that are returning that they acquired in his first year. Let's not forget the players that have been developed, players like Cormani McClain, who was the number 1 cornerback coming out of high school that he recruited, and a slew of other prospects who will be returning that were being developed. I expect to see some breakout seasons from some of the dogs that he recruited in his first year. With the advent of the transfer portal, Coach Prime has been able to construct a team with great balance of proven players and prospects. I, for one, look forward to seeing how Coach Prime fine-tunes his team going forward. With that being said, God bless, folks.